their first medical director, Nancy Caroline. She uses the experience that she gained with them to write Emergency Care in the Streets, which is a textbook that was used by, generations of providers, and is today like in its 17th or 18th edition. Practically everybody's seen that book. Certainly the first few generations, that was the book, that was the only book. And if you talk to older people, they'll all, they all know it. And they certainly know the name Nancy Caroline, even if they don't know anything more about her than that she wrote the book. So, that is a huge part of their legacy, was that, they birthed this thing that has since been adopted all across the world. And the sort of great tragedy is that nobody has ever heard of it. We all know Johnny and Roy, we all know Emergency, that this idea of like, oh, we were, Los Angeles and Emergency and all these, great things. And here we are, and yet the guys who did it, they lasted for 7 years, and then they were shut down by the city, and then, sort of discarded and scattered to the wind. And some of them stayed in the field and went on to do good things. Some of them moved into other fields, but nonetheless, their contributions were neither rewarded or even remembered. When I sat down to write this story, like I found out about it because somebody emailed me, someone who had read Stranger said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Freedom House?" And of course I hadn't. So I started looking it up because I didn't even know what those two words meant, Freedom House. And once I saw like little bits and pieces of things, tiny little blurbs here and there. And I just kept thinking like, oh, the next page I hit on Google is gonna like uncover the definitive recollecting of Freedom House. And it just did not appear anywhere, like the full story of who these guys were and what they had done and what they had gone through and what debt we owed them, both as a field and just as a society, because, your neighbors don't need to be on an ambulance to benefit from the fact that there is one there. What we owe the people who started it is tremendous. And for that story to have been buried and forgotten, intentionally buried, and then sort of incidentally forgotten is, it was crazy.